Welcome back to another episode of the Bad Influence Podcast. I am Jordan Banderas. Before we begin, hit the follow, subscribe button so you don't miss out on any episodes. On today's episode, I want to explore a topic that's been on my mind lately due to some interactions I've had in the last few weeks at work. The reason why I want to talk about this is because it seems that in today's society, some people have developed a fondness for getting offended. Yes, you heard me right. We're going to address the elephant in the room because it seems that some individuals actively seek opportunities to feel victimized and gain something in return. And in my opinion, that's actually bad for our society because it causes a lot of problems. In my case, what happened was that I was doing my job as quality control, which unfortunately for some people that don't like my job, it actually involves ensuring that people are not wearing AirPods, jewelry, earrings, anything that can contaminate the candy, right? So I have to make sure that nobody's wearing things like that because it can cause a lot of problems. You don't want a kid to eat a fake nail with their candy or anything like that. So what happened in this situation is that a few weeks ago, I noticed a line worker wearing AirPods. So I did my job. I called a supervisor. I told him what I saw. We went over to where this guy was located and we confirmed that he was wearing AirPods. So I told my supervisor and she said, okay, make sure that he's not wearing them again the next day. And that's what I did. At the beginning of my shift, I checked on him to make sure that he wasn't wearing AirPods. He wasn't. So later throughout the day after lunch, I saw him wearing the AirPods again. So again, I grabbed the supervisor. We went over to where he was located. And in fact, he was wearing the AirPods. But when I confronted him about the AirPods the second time, he got aggressive. He's all like, oh, you have a vendetta against me. You're against me. You have issues with me. You have problems with me. And I'm like, dude, I'm just doing my job. This is my job, literally. He's like, no, quality control is supposed to only check the candy. And I'm just like, dude, if your AirPod falls into the candy, I'm still gonna figure out who had it. I'm still gonna figure out where it came from. I will have to do an investigation, and it's gonna make my job a lot harder. So either you take it off right now, or we're gonna have to send you home. So he took off his AirPods. He put his phone and the AirPods in his locker, and everything was fine after that. Or so I thought, because a few days later, HR called me. They're like, hey, Jordan, can you come to my office? And I'm like, okay. I thought I was going to get a promotion or a raise or anything like that because I've been doing my job, right? I'm like, I found this thing. I'm like, I'm doing my job. I haven't been late. I'm like, ooh, I'm doing great. Well, I get to HR and here's where things take a crazy turn because the guy who was wearing AirPods actually complained to HR about me. He said that I have a personal vendetta against him, that I was rude towards him, that I made him feel like he was worthless, all this crap, right? And when they told me that, I was like, I was literally just doing my job the way that I was trained to do it and the way that my supervisor told me to do it. Because if I don't do it, I'm the one that's going to get in trouble. If I see people wearing something that they're not supposed to and it falls into the candy, for some reason, it always comes back to QA. QA didn't do their job. QA this, QA that. So I have to do it. HR was like, yes, I understand that, but what we recommend you to do is to like back off just a little bit. Don't be so harsh on people. And that literally made me feel like I can't do my job anymore. I can't literally tell people what not to wear, what not to do. The other day, I literally caught a girl chewing candy in the candy bin with their mouth open, almost, and no offense, almost like a cow going like that. I'm like, well, I can't really tell her to throw it away, so I had to tell a supervisor, hey, tell your worker to throw away the candy or the gum, because if it falls into the candy, nobody wants that. We don't want to make sure that ends up in the customer's hand, right? And because it's not metal or anything like that, the metal detectors are not going to detect anything. So they did that. And another thing is that after HR told me all of this, is like we have had even more problems because we have found earrings in the candy. We actually found, or actually not, we didn't find it, a industrial size bolt like this big made it to the customer's hand. We received a complaint that a customer found an industrial size bolt this big. And now there may be lawsuits because he had grease and the customer got sick. So there's a lot of things that have happened after HR talked to us, or in this case to me, about kind of like backing up from doing my job. So when people complain about little things like this, people don't understand that it affects more than just them. It affects an entire business in this case. And if our clients, the clients that we're making the candy for, all these big stores decide to pull their business from us and take it somewhere else, who suffers? The business. And then in the end, workers are going to be laid off. There's not going to be work and anything like that. So they don't get that. And it pisses me off because they're only thinking about themselves. In this case, this worker is only thinking about himself because he couldn't listen to music. So he got mad that I did my job. And now we can't really do our jobs because HR doesn't want people to quit. The company doesn't want people to quit because there's a labor shortage. We actually need more people, and people are quitting because they're finding other opportunities or because the job is too hard for them. So now they're trying to keep people happy by letting them do whatever the hell they want. But what they don't see is that this is going to affect them in the long term. This is exactly what happened at my old job, the company that closed. It let the workers do whatever they want because they needed the workers. And in the end, the workers didn't care. They sent bad product. The customers pulled out and say, like, you know what, I'm taking my business somewhere else. And the same thing could happen here, but they don't see it because they don't want people to complain, especially for the little things, kind of like what happened with me. But here's the interesting part. After I got talked to by HR, my supervisor and the graveyard supervisor actually told me that people have been complaining about them to HR as well for being rude, for telling people not to do things that they're not supposed to do. Like, there are some line workers that literally just wander around for like 10 hours. They don't do shit. They literally are trying to just get paid for not doing anything. So when they get told, hey, you need to go back to your area and work, they get offended because they feel that we're yelling at them. Even though you're supposed to be there to work and not to just fool around. But after hearing all of this, it made me wonder why people are getting offended so easily right now. And based on what happened to me at work, it seems that people like to get offended in order to gain something in return. In the case of the guy that complained about me, he pretty much beat the system by complaining because now, as quality and even the supervisors, we have to back off a little bit. We can't really be like upfront with them and tell them, hey, Throw away your gum. Don't wear that. Put your chain away. Do this. Because now we're afraid that they're going to complain. And then if they complain about us, who's going to get in trouble? Us, not them. Because that's exactly what happened in this situation. That's exactly what happened in this situation. I got in trouble for doing my job. While they only got written up, even though they did it 3 times, they only got written instead of a final. Why? Because the company needs the workers. And some workers are taking that way too far. But here's the thing though. In today's society, I don't see this just at my work. I see it all over social media and in the news. And yes, there are things that are going to offend you that do deserve some attention. But the little things that are happening around us, even on social media and in the news, that literally don't deserve a lot of attention, are getting a lot of attention. And the problem is that I believe that the problem stems from our hyper-connected world. We are in this situation where attention is highly valued. Attention gets you cash. Because you post a video on social media, it goes viral for whatever reason, and now you can actually monetize off of it. So if you get offended, you might find somebody else that's gonna get offended as well, and then they're gonna share it, and your video is gonna go viral, right? Now you're gonna be able to make money off of it. Now you're gonna be able to get support behind it, and it's gonna make you feel good. Because you're getting rewarded for complaining. Because it seems like everyone is striving for their 15 minutes of fame. But once those 15 minutes are gone, they don't know what to do but keep complaining about other things. I've seen it on social media where one person complains about one thing that it's so small, like HOA having harsh rules. Right now, I saw it on social media just the other day where people are complaining about their HOA. Well, once you start complaining about HOA, other people are starting to literally share their stories about their HOAs and everything like that. Like, my HOA is a pain in the ass. So I understand it, but in the end, it's like those are the rules that you actually agree to. You know, when you sign your lease, like, or when you buy your house that has HOA, all those rules are on the contract and everything. So you agree to those. It's kind of like with at my work. You agree to literally do your work, but people don't want to do it. And the other situation that I'm seeing, or the other problem that I'm seeing, is that social media has provided us a platform that amplifies our voices. It also has fostered a culture where taking offense has become the norm. Because like I said, if you get offended and you get a lot of views, that kind of gives you this reward where it's like, oh, people are paying attention to me, so I'm going to keep doing this. And then people start eagerly seeking opportunities to get outraged, demand apologies, and revel in pettiness. Probably you have seen it too, and it's happening more and more and more often. And it's not good for you because here's the thing. Constantly seeking offense and embracing victimhood doesn't benefit you in any way. It may give you your 15 minutes of fame, your 5 minutes of fame. It may give you the attention that you're seeking for whatever reason. But in the end, you may not get what you want. There are so many things that people are complaining about that you may not get what you want. And it may also cause division between you and your friends or the people around you, because it may annoy them that you complain about the little things and then you want them to join you, and when they don't join you, you get mad at them. Especially when they don't share your perspective because they're seeing it from a completely different perspective. You get offended. You're like, oh, you're not my friend. You're not this. And then it also creates a habit of complaining just to gain something in return. Like, for example, I have seen this in the last few months, since last year. People are complaining about movies that were made like years ago. People are complaining about songs that were written years ago. So when I see that, it's funny because I'm like, dude, I was raised in the 90s where there was no filter in a lot of things. And now everybody wants a filter on everything. When I was growing up, even American shows, I don't know if it was because of the translation or whatever, back in Mexico, they said some pretty harsh stuff. I used to watch movies, Mexican movies, that will cuss out everything, that will make fun of other people, that will make fun of disabled people. But that was because it was a comedy. Now people get offended by that. They don't understand that a movie, especially a comedy or a comedian, is just trying to be funny. Sometimes it may come off as rude, but in the end, they're just trying to be funny. Unfortunately, sometimes it happens when you make fun of somebody. I'm like that because that's how I grew up. Like, I don't make fun of people. I'm just trying to make like a conversation by trying to be funny, but some people find it rude. And that is totally fine. Especially with songs. Like, there was this song from Katy Perry that talks about Jeffrey Dahmer, and people were like, oh, I can't believe this happened. It's like, yeah, I think it's from like 2008. And some people that got offended were like 2-3 years old, 5 years old when that when that song came out, you know? And I'm just going to put this out there because of some of the movies that I grew up watching. I watched this movie when I was like 6. It's that there's this movie called Porky's. Don't watch that movie. Literally, don't watch that movie because you're going to get offended. What they do in that movie, it's pretty much what's happening right now with teens and everything. It's a funny movie, but you will get offended. So don't watch it. Actually, watch it. I recommend it. So you can see what kind of movies we had back in the day where there was literally no filter at all. And one of the things that I tell people that try to like tell me, oh, to kind of like filter me, I'm like, I have no filter sometimes. Like, I don't care if you get offended, because my intention is not to offend you. My intention is just to express myself the only way that I know. If it comes out the wrong way, let me know. But I'm not trying to make you feel bad or anything like that. It's kind of like with this guy with the AirPods. Like, I have no personal vendetta against him, but for some reason he felt offended. But here's the thing. I believe that we can actually change the victimhood mentality. This victimhood mindset that we have developed in the last 20 years, I will say. But we need to question our actions. One of the things that I do, and I want to share this with you, when I feel like I want to complain about something, I ask myself 2 questions. And usually these questions help me from complaining. Actually, they stop me from complaining, because the questions are, does this really offend me that much? And if I complain about this, will it divert my attention from more important things? And if the answer is yes to any of those, then it doesn't require my attention, especially on the second question, because I have more important things to do than to complain. I'm trying to build things that are going to help others. I'm trying to take care of my family. I'm trying to literally be able to afford groceries right now with inflation. I'm trying to afford gas for my cars. So I can't divert my attention from making money right now just to complain about something that may not be of my best interest. Just to complain about something that is so petty that I'm like, why am I wasting my time? You know? And that's something that you might have to do so you actually can focus on yourself instead of focusing on what others want you to do. Instead of paying attention to somebody complain about the gym because somebody else is taking too long in the machines, or because of what they're wearing, or because of this, or because of that. Focus on you. Don't fall into that victimhood mentality where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to play the victim to see what I get in return. Because when you don't get anything in return, you're going to feel so bad. That reward system is going to get shut down. And you can actually Google this, doctors, neuroscientists. Dr. Andrew Huberman talks about this. He's a neuroscientist. He studies the brain and brain chemistry. And he says that when you create a reward system based on something that it's easy, like complaining, and you get something in return, when you don't get that reward, it actually creates problems in your brain. It can lead to depression where you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't get that attention. Like nobody understands me anymore. Things like that. So it can create long-term problems. And not just for you, but for the people that are actually around you. So when you ask yourself these two questions, the questions that I shared, you will know what you must do, but in the end, it's up to you. You make the choice for you. Don't let others make that choice for you. Okay? And I hope that you understand where I'm trying to come from, where I'm coming from, because it gets tiring. Like, people are not able to do their jobs because of people complaining, because of people getting offended. And like I said, it affects more than just one person. It can affect an entire business. It can affect an entire society. It can affect an entire family. So it does more than just affect you. And like I said, this is just for the petty stuff. If it's like something big, oh yeah, complain. Bring it to somebody else's attention if it deserves it. But when it's something small, like what happened with me, dude, waste your time on something more productive. And that's what I wanted to share on today's episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the growth and the feedback. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. We are on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. The link is in the episode description. And here are my final thoughts. Getting offended by the little things won't get you what you really want, but it creates an illusion that you will. And have a great day.